Recently, one of my longtime friends invited me out to spend some time together. We're both usually pretty busy, so since our schedules aligned, I jumped at the opportunity to spend some time with him. I figured we'd be going out to get some breakfast or partake in one of our favorite pastimes, rooting around the garbage of flea markets looking for hidden gems. Instead, he surprised me with a trip to Guardiancon, one of Florida's many video game conventions. I don't really make a note to go to conventions particularly often, not just because I'm poor, but because I find that they're either really cringy, weird messes, or they're boring, humdrum affairs. Not to mention, they're full of people that are at least marginally more successful than I am in all aspects of life, and so that just simply reminds me that I could be at home working on becoming the kind of level of marginally successful to get invited to these third-rate game conventions. Anyway, I wasn't sure what Guardiancon was supposed to be named for, but considering Bungie's huge presence there, I figured it was referring to Guardians from Destiny. You know, Destiny. The third biggest game that no one who wants to be taken seriously plays. Though really, there were other games and game developers there as well. Like Hi-Rez, creators of the second biggest game no one who wants to be taken seriously plays, Realm Royale, as well as Warframe, the fourth biggest game no one who wants to be taken seriously plays. And of course, it's not a game convention without Fortnite. Care to guess where that shows up on the list? So basically, all the big name stuff that kids and man-kids love to play. Why is this important? Because Guardiancon was basically a big advertisement for St. Jude's Hospital and Children's Research, disguised as a video game convention. I was impressed when I learned that prior to the convention, they'd raised $2.7 million in donations. I thought, wow, that's a lot of money. I bet that runs things for at least a month or two. Then they dropped the bombshell that it's only enough to cover costs for a day, in which case I laughed. Don't get me wrong, I think it's great that they successfully gathered that much money, and if you're gonna donate anywhere, at least donate to organizations that take care of kids, but it's an overwhelming number for an underwhelming payout. The revelation just sort of dulled the impact of it all. Long story short, the convention was a snoozer. The whole time, it felt like they didn't really know what they were getting into, like they expanded too quickly. In fact, they even admitted that the convention started at a bar a few years prior. There was barely any artists there. For some reason, Buffalo Wild Wings was there, and most of the people there to sell stuff were all, "Lol, we're all nerd gamers, am I right?" kind of folks. You know, the kind of people mostly there to take advantage of the fact that a lot of gamers have more money than sense. Like, you know, the people who make Funko Pops. They had an arcade there, which was cool, and I played some of them, but it was tough to get motivated to play any of them because since they were free play, you kind of felt like people were waiting to play after you a lot of the time. They had a huge area set aside so people could play Magic the Gathering and other TCGs, but I almost never really saw anyone actually over there. Like they kind of forgot to tell people before they arrived to bring their decks or inform people the space was there for that reason. Oh, and there was a bunch of advertisements for Twitch and tons of PC setups for people to play Destiny, Warframe, and Realm Royale. There were a bunch of Twitch streamers there as well, but the only one that stuck out was that Fortnite wash-up ninja. Okay, I'm kidding. He's the most successful Fortnite streamer, but what really impressed me was the fact that he was there at Guardiancon in the first place, because I can't even imagine whatever they paid Ninja to be there for several days was anywhere near what he makes in a single day streaming. Maybe he had a sponsor or was donating his time or something, I don't know. Though it was pretty obvious that basically every other streamer present was only there to ride Ninja's coattails. Also, it's worth noting that basically any chance someone had to advertise their Twitch stream, they did so unabashedly. Some of them even had business cards printed up, which made me laugh. At one point, during a panel, they asked for everyone who was a streamer to raise their hands. Almost every single person there raised their hands, to the point where it made me laugh out loud and realize that streaming is way too saturated, because it's way too easy to get into. It also made me ponder if streaming is a bubble just waiting to pop, as is often the case when a lot of things get much too big to support itself. Most of the panels there were boring drivel, but I sat and watched because there just wasn't a whole lot else to do after a few loops around the convention hall looking at everything. For example, one of the panels was called The Evolution of Content Creation, where 5 people that I can only assume are Twitch subreddit moderators wandered out to talk about, you know, the evolution of content creation. Basically, everything they said there during the panel were things you'd hear about in terms of advice or stories in reply to threads on the Twitch subreddit. Things like, make sure you maintain a work-life balance and have a schedule. You know, the sort of advice that applies to everything in your life in regards to careers or jobs, but I give them an A for effort. Though one of the panels was a video game show. When I heard about it, I rolled my eyes, figured it'd just be the usual cringe nerd fest, but surprisingly, the hosts of Game Attack Game Show were charismatic, bounced well off each other, and their improv was spot on. The first half of the game show was spectacular, and it was probably the best thing in the entire convention up till that point. Though honestly, at the time, that was a very low hurdle to jump. Also, my good friend Killatia got picked to go up on stage early on and actually won his game.
I said I want to know your video game knowledge.
Okay, we're gonna find out what you know about video games. What year was Star Fox on the Super Nintendo released? If anybody else yells the answer or Googles it on your phone, you are banned from the con.
If he knows it, he comes on stage.
If you know it, you come on stage.
I guess I'm off of it then.
You're not even gonna take a guess?
Nah,
Take a guess.
I don't know.
Not even a guess?
Take it.
Boo
Big
that
Super
man!
Nintendo.
I don't know.
Boo!
No, do not boo. Do not boo this man.
I'm just kidding. Don't boo that man. Don't boo.
2004, I guess.
2004. No, way off. Who knows it? Who really knows it? This guy knows it. Oh my God! Look at how fast.
Hold on.
What?
Does he have Surge on his shirt?
He does have.
My God, that is a man of the '90s right there.
All right. Do you really know what it is?
1993.
Oh my
Let's
God!
go. Get up. Come with me. Let's go. Come on. Be careful. Don't trip over anything.
All right. All you got to do is score 1,500 points, 1,500 points. You have 3 chances to do this, okay? 3 opportunities. If you fail, it's okay. You ready? All right. Here
You
we
guys
go.
better root him on.
Root him on, y'all. Ready? Let's get you going. Press that button.
Dynamic jib shot of this awesome action, please.
Oh, look at that music pulling up. I love that. Ready? 1 player in 3, 2, 1. As soon as you press up, you're going. 1,500 points is where he's got to get to.
Oh, baby. He's going to do it. I can already tell. I can already tell.
Oh, he's got the multiplier. He's getting the points there. 1,500 points. I think this guy's a ringer. He has a, he's
Surge, are you afraid?
Oh, 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 look at
Oh!
that. He's played this before. He has played this before. He knows the
Oh,
game.
no. 1,500 was too low. Oh!
I had Grayson play it. Oh, oh, oh! He used the bomb. Oh, he's got it now. He's got it now. That's a
He's
6-time
going.
multiplier.
Oh, my God.
He's got this in the bag. Uh-oh.
Who is this man?
Surge, Surge, Surge,
go.
Surge. You got it. Let's go. All right. You did
He's
it.
done
Put it
it.
down. Put it down. You're good. You're good. Way to go.
He's
Round of
done
applause
it.
right here. Way
Everybody,
to go.
congratulations
Right
to
there.
Surge.
Yeah.
He didn't win the jackpot prize, sadly, but he was good sport about it. The second half of the show, however, was pretty boring. They picked some really bad games for the last handful of contestants, boring shit like Rocket League and 8-Bit Fiesta that droned on for way too long and overstayed their welcome. That's in comparison to things from the first half of the show like Pac-Man 256 and Cluster Trucks, which made for great, fun, fast, hype games. As a result, I'd rate the show above average. It needs work, but they're onto something there. Also, holy crap, Tampa had some expensive food. It was something like $13 to get food at the convention hall, but I spent the same amount of money to go to a place to eat not far from the convention hall, actually got served by someone, and had a great view along with great food. It was worth paying a few extra bucks to not deal with loud, sweaty nerds, so that's a huge bonus. It reminded me why I never go to Tampa to do things. Would I go to another Guardiancon? Nah, not unless I'm invited by the people running it or something. Maybe if I finally hit 100 subs on YouTube, then we'll get noticed. Until then, I'll politely turn down future visits. Even though there was a lot of things dull about it, it was still ultimately worth the experience, and I'm glad I was given the opportunity to go. I may have exaggerated a bit in my assessments, which should be your cue to realize that I was being facetious for most of the video, and I'm pleased to announce that it's not even the worst convention I've been to in my life. Guardiancon has to work way harder to beat that high score for sure. At least it was somewhat professionally put together by clearly passionate people. A lot of conventions I've been to in my life were cobbled together by bored people who only looked at gamers and had dollar signs in their eyes. Thanks for listening to my rant. If you want more Chunky Beef in your life, hit that subscribe button or follow us on social media. Links in the description below. See you soon.